today we will see about networking which is related to cybersecurity. Okay, because networking is a big ocean. Not a one day, not even a 1 month is not enough to complete a networking. So that much big topic networking is. So we see what are all the fundamentals in networking which is most important to work and do some activities in a cybersecurity, either in a penetration testing or a bug bounty or in a red teaming assessment. So we focus networking related to that. So now our task is to create a folder. Okay, so now I am logging as a root user. Now our task is to create a folder inside this documents folder. Okay, so inside this document folder, we need to create a folder called demo. Inside the folder demo, we need to create a file, which is we need to create a file in the name of file.txt. Inside the file, we have to put the content of I love hacking. Okay, so that is our task. So inside the documents directory, we have to create a one more directory which is demo. Inside the demo directory, we have to create a file, file.txt file. So inside the file, we have to give the command of I love hacking. And once after this, we have to allocate the privilege for the file. Only owner have the permission to read, write, execute. Group user and world user for a no privilege. Okay, so that is our task. We'll do it now. So first we'll do everything in a manual, graphically. So I'm getting inside the document directory. So here just we create a new directory, demo. So inside this demo directory, we create a file, file.txt. Okay, so inside this file.txt, I'm just opening the file and I'm giving the content like hello hacking. Yes, that's all. And I'm allocating the privilege. Okay, so for that I'm opening terminal in the same location. So what is the privilege we are going to, what is the permission we are going to allocate to this file is only owner have the read, write and execute permission. Group user having a no permission, and other user also having no permission. So how we allocate the permission to this file? The permission number was 700 because only the owner having a read, write, execute permission. The first number is belongs to the first person who is owner of the file having a 7, and group user and world user doesn't have any privilege to the file. Okay, and I'm giving the file name file.txt. That's all. Okay, so now we did it in a graphically, and now our task is to do the same thing inside the pictures folder. Okay, so inside the pictures folders we need to create another folder demo, and inside the demo folder we need to create a file which is file.txt. Inside the file we are going to add some content which is I love hacking, and once after that we'll change the privilege of the file. Okay, but this time we are going to do this in a command line. First our task is to go with the pictures folder. List. Yes. Okay, so cd pictures. So inside this pictures folder we need to create a folder demo. So for creating a folder using command line, we have to provide the command make directory demo. So now I'm getting inside this demo directory. So inside this folder we need to create a file. So you can create a file using a touch command, nano, cat, anything as per you want. So just I'm creating a file using a touch command, touch file.txt. Okay, by using nano text editor I'm just editing the file. Okay, so nano file.txt. Okay, so inside this I'm putting the content I love. So that's all. I'm making it a write out and save and exit. So that's all. Now we create the content inside the file. Okay, so now we the content inside the file. And just one second, I'm listing here is the file. I'm catting the file. So this cat command will help us to find what are all the contents inside the file. Okay, so now this cat command listing the contents inside the file. Okay, now we can allocate the privilege to the file using the command chmod. Okay, so chmod 700 and file name. That's all. Okay, let's say for L. Now owner having the rewrite execute permission and other users doesn't have any privileges against this file. Okay, so please make overview of Linux once again. That will be very important. That is literally very important for anything. So group of which is interconnecting. Okay, so interconnecting one or more system, that is networking. Okay, so in networking it have a huge topics and yes, huge fundamentals are also we focus on a IP address. Now what is IP address? What is the role of IP address in networking? Yes, IP address is like a residential address. So IP address is the address which is used to identify device, any device in online. So using IP address only we can able to find which device in online, and without IP address we can't able to get into internet. Okay, so this IP address is exactly like a name, so not even a name. In while I was studying in my 10th standard, there is a five Bharat in my class, five persons who name Bharat in my class, and three persons are a yes Bharat. So generally, if anybody came to my class, it came to our class and called Bharat, means how many people will respond to that? All five Bharat will getting respond give respond to that. And if they tell like call like a yes Bharat, means then how many people will they respond? Three peoples. Okay, either the name may be same or initial may be same, but the only unique thing is a roll number. So for example, if roll number 7 is allocated to one Bharat, this no one can present in the same roll number. Okay, so this IP address is exactly like a roll number for any device in online. So that is why without IP address we can't able to get online. And we'll see some origin of IP address. So who providing IP address generally? RIP. Super. So RIP allocating IP address. So generally, we know ISP is providing IP address. So who providing IP address to ISP? So the initial stage of IP address was a ICANN. Okay, so ICANN is Internet Community for Assigned Numbers and Names. They only allocate the IP address in initial stage. Okay, so when the internet will becomes, I can only take a responsible for IP address. This is the organization in United States, Internet Community for Assigned Numbers and Names. ICANN. So they only allocate and configure IP address to online, but day by day the usage of internet is getting more higher, so many people will start using internet. So I can't able to manage all the IP address, so they create another organization which is RIR. So this RIR is a regional internet registry. So I can only take care of IP address throughout the world. Okay, but day by day the density of IP address, the users of IP address is getting more and more. So I can't able to manage the IP address. So they create a regional internet registry and they place regional internet registry in 5 zone of world. Yes. So this AppNIC, ARNIC, RIPE, NCC. Okay, so these are the five. Okay, so this appnik is belongs to Asia Pacific. So AR and I think it is belongs to Afrinic. Okay, Afrinic is belongs to Africa. Appnik is belongs to Asia, and Afrinic is belongs to Africa, and RIA, and I think it is also belongs to US, and RIPNCC belongs to Australia, and LACNIC I think it is belongs to Europe. I'm not sure about this three RIR, but Appnik is belongs to Asia Pacific, and Afrinic is belongs to Africa. Okay, see, they placed five regional internet registry in the world. For example, we are in India, so who provide the IP address, who taking care of in Indian IP address was AppNIC. Okay, it all comes under Asia Pacific. So this is five RIR. So inside the RIR only ISP will come. Okay, so ISP is a general internet service provider. For example, if you are using a Geo, Vodafone, Hathway, Railwire for making it going to online, so they are your internet service provider. Okay, so First ICANN, inside the ICANN RIR, in between inside the RIR only ISP will come. So for example, here I'm using just for example, I'm using Airtel, means I'm not actually using Airtel now. So if I was using Airtel, means that Airtel will comes under the appnik. Okay, so this is the general statement of IP address, and that Airtel will you only provide me the IP address. So that Airtel company is ISP to me, they provide me the IP address. So without IP address, we can't able to get into online. So we compare this IP address with roll number in very maximum. For example, ISP is like a university. Okay, see, I am the person, I'm having a roll number, means who allocate me the roll number? Only university allocate the roll number. Okay, so using that, see, is it possible to track any person's exact geolocation via IP address? Not at all. Okay, so we can able to find, okay, so this person is presented in this zone, but we can't able to find what is the exact pinpoint latitude longitude location where the person is located using IP address. Okay, it is hardly difficult to track the IP address exact location. But then what are all the possibilities does ISP can track through the IP address? It was a internet activities. Okay, using our IP address, our ISP can able to track all our internet activities, like what are the profiles we are visiting, what are the sites we are visiting, what is the data we are downloading, what are all the data we are uploading. So they can able to monitor all each and every of our internet activities using IP address. The same. Okay, if university provide me the roll number, means using my roll number, what university can able to track me? University can able to track my academic performance. So what is my grade? How is my performance? How was my attendance? About my projects, everything university can able to track. So this is exactly IP address, and these are the things ISP will track using our IP address. Okay, and not possible to track exact geolocation via IP address. So now I hope you all will clear about what is IP address and who is ISP at all. So generally now we are speaking about a public IP address, and then we'll come with a private IP address also. Okay, because if you know about IP address previously, means don't worry, it's really good one. But why I'm telling you now, we are focusing on our public IP address. Means sometimes the concept, some concept will be differ in a private IP address. So for example, if it is a private IP address, only DHCP server will allocate the private IP address. So later, once we complete this public, we'll come with the private IP address. Okay, so yes, now ISP providing the public IP address. So this public IP address will comes under two stages. One is static IP, another one is dynamic IP. Static IP won't change. Once if they allocate one IP address, means that is fixed IP address for us. And dynamic IP address will change randomly. Okay, so even if you turn off your mobile data and turn on your mobile data, at that time your dynamic IP address will change. And if you do something like okay, if you are if you are moving around, so then also your IP address will be getting changed. Or if you are using internet continuously more than a 1 hour, your IP address will getting changed. And if you change your SIM card, probably sure your IP address will be changed. Because for example, consider I'm using a OnePlus mobile. Just for example, I'm using a OnePlus mobile. So in my case, I'm using a Airtel SIM card. So if I remove the Airtel SIM card, I placed a Jio SIM card, means what happened? My IP address sure will change. Not only my IP address, even my ISP also change. Okay, so this is actually static and dynamic IP address. Generally for a mobile phone, we all are using dynamic IP address only, not a static IP address. Okay, so generally we are using dynamic IP address, not a static IP address. So which is very important to security point of view. So for example, if you are a hacker, which IP address will be very important to you, either static or dynamic? Both having advantages and disadvantages. So now we are going to see about what are all the advantages and what are all the disadvantages. Okay, so first, generally ISP provide us the dynamic IP address only. So if we want to get a static IP address, then we have to request to the ISP. And for a mobile SIM card, they never provide the static IP address. If we want a static IP address, we have to allocate it to the router Wi-Fi only, not for the mobile SIM card. Not possible to allocate static IP for the mobile SIM card. I'll tell you why. Okay, so generally static IP address won't change. Okay, why it is necessary? Why you think like static IP address is necessary to something? Yes, can you please tell me what is port forwarding? Because if we want to make a port forwarding, then we need to get a static IP address. So we'll show it on a live. Okay, so so this is the important. We are seeing about IP address by today's session. Okay, so we'll completely discuss about what is port forwarding, and for hacking perspective, why hackers need to do a port forwarding at all. So for example, if we want to do a port forwarding, we should have to get the static IP address. Using dynamic IP address, we can't able to make a port forwarding. And if you want to make a port forwarding using a dynamic IP address, then you need some tools, but these tools also not working in permanent. It will give you the temporary port forwarding. For example, using some tools, you can able to make a port forward in temporary, maximum up to 1 hour. So after that, that won't work. So we'll see what is port forwarding now. Okay, so first I'm going to my Apache server location of Kali Linux. Okay, so I hope you all know about what is server at all. So in Kali Linux, there is a defaultly Apache server will be presented, it will be configured and installed. I'll tell you the location where the file will be get hosted on. So you can go to the file system var www html. So this is the location of Apache server. Okay, I'm just deleting the file. I'm deleting these two default files. So this is the location of Apache server. So if you place any folders and files here, then it will be hosted by your, then you can host the files using your Apache server. Then you can able to host. Here I'm giving the command ifconfig. Okay, to checking my IP address. So my IP address is 192.168.0.108. So this 192.168.0.108 is my Kali Linux IP address, and my base machine I am having a different private IP address. I will show you now. I'm having the address of 192.168.0.105. 105 is my base machine Parrot Linux, and 108 is virtual machine Kali Linux. Okay, so here I'm giving the command service Apache 2 that. Yes, now our Apache services started on Linux. I'm just checking the status. See, now our Apache server is running in our Kali machine. So how we can access our Apache server? Okay, where we can access our server? We can generally access the server in a browser. Okay, so for accessing server in a browser, we need to know about the domain name. But here we didn't provide any domain name. So then how we can able to access the server is generally this Apache server is running on my Kali Linux. So my Kali Linux IP address is the same IP address of my Apache server also. So I'm just going to my browser inside the Kali Linux. See, I'm giving the command I'm giving the address of 192.168.0.108. So this is IP address of my Kali server. So yes, we can able to access our Apache server here. Okay, because of this is a empty folder, it doesn't show anything. Here I'm creating on folder and file. I'm just creating a folder named Kali. Also creating a file kali.txt. Okay, I'm just refreshing the page. Yes, now we can able to access the file and folder inside the Apache server. Why you can't able to access the server? Super, because of it is a private IP address. Okay, only the systems which is connected with my same Wi-Fi can able to access this server, not other things. Okay, if even if I'm trying to access this IP address from my mobile phone, I can able to access. But if I disconnect the Wi-Fi and I'm joining with the mobile data and I'm trying to access this IP address, means then also I can't able to access this address because this is a private IP address. What are all the device connected with my same network can only able to access this URL. So how I host this Apache server publicly? So if I host my Apache server publicly, then only globally anyone can able to access my server. Have you understood? So if I host the server publicly, then only globally anyone can able to access the server. So for that, what we can do? So we can buy a domain and host the files in a domain. Then anyone can able to access the files and everything of our server globally. So else I'm using the tool ngrok. Using this ngrok in temporary, we can able to make a port forwarding. So it runs maximum up to 1 hour. So after 1 hour, the session will getting ended, and you have to restart it again. But if you purchase a domain, you can able to make a port forwarding. That domain which is already hosted in publicly, so we can able to access that in any time. We'll see about what is domain and how it is port forwarding. What is the why static IP address are using in domains and websites. Okay, you can go with this ngrok. I'm making sign up. I'm giving the name of John, and for this I'm using a temporary mail address. Okay, so these temporary mails are not allowed to run in Jira, so I'm just giving my personal mail address or something. Else I'm having another account using another temp mail ID, so I'm just copying the ID. So you can create this account using your own Gmail ID or anything. So you can able to create account in a Gmail, but the thing if you use any temporary mail means for a security purpose, now only Nginx are blocking the temporary mail address in their domain. Okay, team. So see here. Okay, so if you sign up with Nginx with your own user account, then it will be look like this. Okay, so now you can download the file from your machine from here. Okay, so download for Linux. So once after successfully downloaded, you should have to copy the auth token. So from this auth token only you can able to configure your Nginx. So I'm downloading Nginx file, okay, directly from the server. Mm, I'm going with the download, and I'm downloading this file for a Linux. So wait, this Nginx is downloading now. And most important, why I ask you to make a sign up, because once you make a sign up, then only you can able to get the auth token. So you'll get the different auth token. You can copy the auth token and you have to paste this on your machine. Okay, I'm just storing this auth token in my system. So that's all. Okay, so all the thing we need is this auth token. So yes, it is. Okay, so please wait. This file is downloading. Yes, team. So this Nginx file is downloaded. So we'll configure it now. Okay, so just wait. Now probably you have questions why we have to download this file. What is port forwarding? Is this port forwarding necessary for a bug bounty hunting or not? Means yes, of course it is necessary. Okay, team. So now this Nginx is got extracted. Okay, so here is the Nginx achieved file. Okay, so I'll tell you how you can configure this Nginx. So first I'm going with my desktop location because this file is presented in my desktop only. Yes, here is the Nginx output file. So what you can do is you can copy your auth token, and I'm giving the command dot slash and I'm pasting this auth token. That's all. Okay, now this auth token is configured in the Nginx. I'm just giving the command dot slash Nginx to start the service. Okay, so dot slash ngrok, and you can mention what port you want to make a port forwarding. Okay, so once after this, I'll completely tell you what is port forwarding, why it is necessary. Here I'm giving the command http 80. So now I make port forwarding over my port number 80, and this is the URL which is provided by ngrok. I'm copying this URL. Okay, I'm paste it on my browser, see what happened. Okay, so using this URL also I can able to access my Apache server. See here I'm sharing the same URL to you in chat. You can try and let me know whether you can able to access this URL or not. Can you able to access
Yes, yes.
the server?
Yes, we can
Yes,
access
it
it.
is. Yes, of course it is, because it is publicly hosted. Okay, because of it is publicly hosted. Okay, now we'll see about what is port forwarding, because we make this port number 80 into port forwarding, so globally anyone accessing this URL can able to access my server. Okay, so before going to see about port forwarding, where all the place the static IP address is using on. So it is usually used in a website and application which is publicly hosted. Okay, why publicly hosted sites having the static IP address means, see, hmm, okay, so before that I'll tell you port forwarding what is that. Okay, what we did is, so my generally our Apache server is running on this address of 192.168.0.108. So this is my private IP address. Only the device which is connected with my same network can able to access this IP address. So here I am using this support, using support of ngrok, I make it publicly hosted. Okay, see in this you are also you can able to get what it is doing. So this ngrok is the application which is publicly hosted. Okay, anyone can able to access this ngrok.com because that is a public domain, publicly hosted. Okay, so here ngrok provide me this URL. So what are all the connections or requests coming to this URL? That request have been redirected to our local system. Okay, so this local host is our Kali Linux and port number 80, because this is a HTTP server. Okay, so this is HTTP application, so it will redirect the connection to our system port number 80. Okay, only the method of port forwarding. So if I was an attacker, okay, not an attacker, see the you can see the general web application scenario as well. Okay, once I make a port forwarding which is publicly I host this one, okay, then only outside network system can able to reach my server. Okay, if I make a port forwarding, then only you are an outside network, so you can able to access my service. If I hosted this service in a privately in a 192 dot address means no one can able to access the service. This is actually port forwarding. Okay, so port forwarding means once you've done a port forwarding, then only outside network system can able to reach your system. Okay, then only outside network system can able to reach your system. See now how we can directly port forward everything. So now using the support of ngrok we done a port forwarding. In generally how this port forwarding will work, how ISP will work on the port forwarding at all. Okay, so before that we'll discuss about how this port forwarding is useful for an attacker. Okay, so if we are an attacker, in which perspective this port forwarding is very useful for attacker. See, just consider here I'm creating a reverse shell payload. Okay, so I'll tell you more about what is reverse shell and bind shell payload in upcoming session. So generally consider there is an attacker who want to hack some machine. Okay, so if I have a paint, then it will be easy. First, we'll see about what is reversal and bind shell. Then you can able to easily understand what is port forwarding. So I'm just opening my paint application. So team, just consider there is an attacker want to hack some machine. So what generally attacker will do? How attacker control any machine? How hacker control any machine? So if attacker command will execute on the victim machine, then only attacker can able to control the victim machine. Is it clear? Once if attacker command will be executed on the victim machine, then only attacker can able to control victim machine. So how attacker command will execute on a victim machine? So for this activity, attacker need to create a virus. Okay, so that virus is a special agent which execute all the attacker commands in a victim machine. Okay, so virus only execute all the attacker commands in a victim machine. So using the virus only, attacker can able to control the victim machine. See, here there is a two user. See here, this is attacker and this is victim. Yes, this is attacker and this is victim. The same concept will be applied on a web application also. Okay, so attacker and victim. See, in generally it may be a reversal or bind shell. So what reversal will do is in reversal, victim system come and connect with attacker system. In bind shell, attacker system go and connect with the victim system. Okay, in reversal, victim system come and connect with attacker system. We'll see it on a clear. So generally either it may be a reversal or bind shell. Only attacker will create the virus. Okay, either it may be a reversal or a bind shell. Attacker only create the virus and share the virus file to victim using some social engineering mechanism. Okay, so using some technique, attacker sharing the virus to victim. So the file is going from attacker to victim. So once a victim has executed the virus, what happens is, if it is a reversal payload, see generally virus is going from attacker to victim. So if it is a reversal means victim to attacker. Okay, so the ulta. It generally virus goes from attacker to victim. If it is a reversal means victim to attacker, which means victim system come and connect with attacker system. This will be happen in a reversal. Okay, so if in case of a bind shell means what happened, once if victim executed the once if victim executed the bind shell payload, it opens some specific port on a victim machine. So whenever attacker need to control this victim machine, attacker system go and connect with the victim system. This is bind shell. Okay, in a reversal, victim system come and connect with attacker system. In a bind shell, attacker system go and connect with victim system. Okay, so once again understand the scenario of reversal. Okay, so this is the reversal. So victim system come and connect with attacker system. So in this case, who is listening for the connection? Who is waiting for the connection? Victim is come and connecting with attacker. So who is waiting for the connection? Attacker. Okay, attacker is listening for the connection. So here I'm opening some port in attacker. Okay, attacker opens some port in their machine and attacker waiting for the connection. This will be generally happen in a reversal. Victim will come and connect with attacker and attacker is waiting for the connection. So in case of bind shell, what happened? If victim has executed the bind shell payload, okay, if victim has executed the bind shell payload, then bind shell payload opens some specific port in a victim system. Okay, bind shell payload opens some specific port in a victim system. So whenever attacker need to connect control the victim machine, attacker system go and connect with victim system. This is bind shell. So how port forwarding plays a vital role in this reversal and bind shell? This you can consider this victim maybe a system or application or a server or anything. Okay, how reverse sorry, port forwarding will plays a vital role here. See, for example, here attacker and victim are presented in the different networks. So if attacker and victim are presented in the same LAN network, means easily attacker can able to ping the IP address. Okay, so generally see, here I'm having the Windows machine. Okay, I'm opening my command prompt, uh, ipconfig. So IP address of my Windows machine is 192.168.0.107. So I'm just pinging my base machine 192.168.0.107. So 4 or 5. Just wait, I'll check. 105. Here I can able to ping the my base machine. So this is Windows machine I'm using in a VM, and my base machine is a Parrot Linux. Here from my VM, from my Windows to Parrot, I can able to ping. So this because these every machines will be connected to the same network, same LAN network connections. But what happened if attacker and victim is presented in a different network? So if you try to ping this 192.168.0.105 address in your system, it will ping anything which is connected with your same network. If you have the same segment, that you can ping you can't able to ping my system, my machines, because we are all different network. Question is, if victim and attacker presented in a different network, then how victim system come and connect with attacker system, or how attacker system and come and connect go and connect with victim system? So here only port forwarding plays a vital role. In this place, port forwarding plays a vital role. Okay, see for example, what we generally did in a Linux, we host Apache server, and if I share the private IP address, which is 192.168 dot address of my Apache server, means you can't able to access the address because you are present in outside the network. By using of the tool ngrok, I made that particular port into port forwarding, which is I host the service in the port in publicly, so anyone can able to access the service. Okay, see, a victim system come and connect with attacker system in case of a reverse shell. Okay, in case of reverse shell, victim system will come and connect with attacker system, and now who is listening for the connection? Attacker is listening for the connection. Okay, attacker is listening for the connection, victim system will come and connect with attacker system. So if this service, if attacker is publicly hosted, then only victim can able to access the attacker system. Okay, if attacker is publicly hosted, publicly presented, then only victim can able to access the attacker system. If attacker having the private address of only having the private address of 192.168 means victim can't able to access the address. Victim can't able to access the attacker machine, not to access, victim can't able to reach the attacker machine. Okay, if attacker have only having the 192.168 address, means victim can't able to reach the attacker machine. So for this reversal, attacker need to make a port forwarding, then only the outside network victim can able to reach the attacker. Okay, so once if attacker do a port forwarding, see this is a reversal payload, so in a reversal, victim system will come and connect with attacker system. So how victim system come and connect with attacker system? If attacker having only 192.168 address, means victim can't able to reach attacker, so that is why attacker need to make a port forwarded. So if attacker hosted publicly, then only victim can able to reach attacker IP address, this connection will be getting established. The same thing in a bind shell. Okay, in bind shell, attacker system is going and connect with victim system. So for that, victim need to make a port forward. Okay, so both attacker and victim are presented in a different networks. Okay, your victim having the idea of a 192.168 address, means attacker can't able to reach that address. Okay, so for a bind shell, victim need to make a port forwarding. So you just consider this is a web application. So generally web application is publicly hosted. For example, if it is a google.com, facebook.com, yahoo.com, means we are not presented in the same network, but we can able to access their domain because it is publicly hosted. Okay, so consider this victim is a web application which is publicly hosted. So in generally what attacker will do, attacker create a bind shell. Okay, if attacker create a bind shell, means once if the bind shell will be execute, it opens some specific port in a victim device or in a victim server. So whenever attacker need a connection, attacker system no go and connect with victim system. For this case, attacker no need to get the port forward, attacker no need to do the port forward, because here victim is not connecting coming and interacting with attacker system only going and connect with victim system. So for a bind shell, victim need to make a port forward. If victim is publicly hosted, then attacker can able to reach the victim address. If victim is privately hosted, if victim only having the 192.168 address, means attacker can't able to reach the victim address. So this is port forwarding, and this is reversal and bind shell. So for a reversal, attacker need to make a port forward, and for a bind shell, victim need to make a port forward. So why this port, how this port forwarding will help you in a web application? So if you are generally studying ethical hacking, this port forwarding will be very useful for you. Even in a web application pen testing, bug bounty, how this port forwarding will help us, how it comes in a topic, means this help us to make a remote code. So for example, if we found a remote code execution vulnerability of any application, that is a high critical vulnerability. So using remote code execution, attacker can totally compromise the server. Okay, and now attacker can able to get inside their environment. So using remote code execution vulnerability. See, if you found a remote code execution vulnerability, you are getting your application shell, means in that case, in that time, this port forwarding will plays a vital role. So in that case only we have to, if we create a payload, means that time only we'll choose about what kind of payload we have to create, either it is a reverse shell or a bind shell. If you create a reverse shell, then your system have to be port forwarded. If you create a reverse shell and giving your system 192.168. address to the public domain, means that public domain can't able to access this 192.168. address because this is hosted privately. This is importance of port forwarding. And now, what are all the object having port forwarding? Generally, web servers are having port forwarding. We can able to understand the domain name, but how the internet will know? Internet only knows the IP address. Okay, internet doesn't know the host name. Internet only knows the IP address. So just see, I'm ping facebook.com. See, this is IP address of facebook.com. Okay, internet only knows this IP address. It doesn't know about the domain name. So then why we are using a domain name means for our understanding. So if we ask a domain name for Facebook or Twitter or any application or any business name, we can able to easily memorize the domain name. But it is hard to memorize the IP address because IP address are having, so consider if it is a IP version 4, it having a 12 digit 4 octet, each octet having three different digits, so it is not easy to remember. So our maximum we can able to remember up to 3 or 4 IPs, that is maximum. So apart from 4 IPs, we can't able to remember the IP address, but we can able to understand, we can able to remember the domain name. So that is why we are using a domain name. So domain name is only for human understanding, and how the internet know, it is only by using IP address. So for example, if anybody requesting, if anybody searching for facebook.com, is that request have to be redirect to this IP address. Okay, any request is coming to facebook.com, that request will be redirect to this IP address. So this is generally do. So who redirect this one? If I am searching facebook.com in my mobile or I'm pinging from my system, I know only facebook.com, but who redirect my request from to facebook.com to this IP address? Here I'm the person pinging facebook.com. Now who redirect my request to this IP address 157.240.192.35? DNS. Okay, so here only DNS server will plays a vital role. So generally DNS is a domain name server. So what is the use and role of DNS is, if we provide IP address, it will provide the domain name. Okay, if we give a domain name, it will give the IP address. So this is the general name of DNS record. This is the general work of DNS. If we give a domain, it will give the IP address. If we give IP address, it will give the domain. So what are all the requests coming to this facebook.com will be redirect to this IP address. DNS plays a vital role. And in a DNS record history, okay, inside the DNS record history, everything will be mapped. For example, inside the DNS record history, they map this facebook.com is belongs to this IP address. Okay, this IP address is belongs to facebook.com. So if anybody searching for facebook.com, that will be mapped to this IP address, and the user will be redirect to this IP address only in the DNS record. See, in previously we found two topics. Okay, so we found two classes of IP address, sorry, not a classes, two status of IP address. One is static IP, another one is dynamic IP. Generally we are using dynamic IP address. Okay, dynamic IP address will change, static IP address won't change. Why web servers are using a static IP address means, see, in a DNS record only what they do, they map domain name and IP address. Okay, inside the DNS record only, they map domain name and IP address. For example, if the web servers using a dynamic IP address, for example, consider if the web servers are using a dynamic IP address, means what happened, every time the IP address will be changed. So it is not possible to open the DNS record and changing of every domain IP address again and again. It is totally impossible. So that is why, once if it is allocated, that is fixed. Okay, once this 157.240.192.35 is allocated to facebook.com, that is fixed, that won't change. So this is why websites are using static IP address. Okay, so this is why, because if websites are using a dynamic IP address, means what happened, it is not possible at all to access. It will change continuously. So either the dynamic IP address change in every seconds or every minutes or every hours. Okay, it is not. It is totally impossible to edit the DNS record for every second for all the domains. So that is why websites are using static IP address. Using the static IP address only, we can able to make a port forwarding. Now we came to the actual port forwarding concept used by ISP. Okay, see, in my system what I did, first I ran the Apache server. So that Apache server is a general HTTP server. What is the port HTTP server will use? HTTP service will use super port number 80. Okay, so my HTTP service is running on a port number 80, and I can able to access the address, and my parent Linux also I can able to access the server, because everything will be connected in the same LAN network. But if I share you that address, you can't able to access. So what I did is I make my port number 80 into port forwarding, which is I publicly open the port number 80 to everybody to access. So how it is done? See. Now if you see the Nginx, you can able to clearly understand what it done. See here I'm giving the same command, service Apache 2 start. And yes, now my Apache server is running and I'm checking my IP address, which is 192.168.0.108. See, now you have a doubt like in previous also it is 108. Now once after restarting the system, the same address 108, this address is not changing. So it is a static IP address or not? Means yes, it is static IP address, but this is private static IP address. Still now we are speaking about a public IP address, and then we'll come up to this topic. Okay, now our Apache server is running. I'm copying this IP and I paste it on my browser. See, here I can able to access the server. So if I provide the same IP address, see here I'm just refreshing the same. Yes, here also I can able to access this address, because these systems are connected with the same LAN network. So if I share you this address, you can't able to access because you are not presented in my same LAN network. So here only what I do, I'm just going to my desktop because ngrok file is in my desktop. Yes, so here is the ngrok file is presented. I'm running the command. Okay, not all the time you have to give the auth token. So once if you give the auth token, that's fine. That's enough. Here I'm giving the command dot slash ngrok, and I want to make port forwarding of my service. Okay, so here generally for this Apache service, it is running on port number 80. So for example, if I make a port forwarding of port number 81, means see what happened. Okay, so now ngrok provide me this URL. I'm just copying this URL, paste it on my browser, means nothing will come. Okay, it show like it is error because in my system port number 81 I didn't use any service. Okay, it shows it's a bad gateway. So I have to make a port number 82 port forward. See, now I port forward, which is I publicly open this port number 80 in my system, and I'm copying this URL which is provided by ngrok. Okay, now what happened, this ngrok is publicly hosted, so anyone can able to access this ngrok. Okay, ngrok is publicly hosted, so anyone can able to access this ngrok.com. So ngrok is publicly hosted, so yeah. Okay, so is it clear? So anyone can able to access this ngrok.com. So what exactly this ngrok will do is this ngrok will act like a proxy. This is the intermediate agent between two systems. I'll show you now. So using this paint image, you can able to clearly understand what exactly this ngrok will doing. Yes, okay. So here is my Apache server. So please find. Okay, so here is my Apache server. Okay, and here is you. Here is your system. Okay, if you are trying to access my network, my system, then what happen if you're trying to not access, if you're trying to reach my IP address, it won't work because me and you are both are presented in a different network. So here I'm using one agent ngrok. Okay, see, uh, here I'm using ngrok. Okay, so this ngrok is a public domain, public third party domain. Okay, so this ngrok is publicly hosted, so I can able to access this ngrok and you can also able to access this ngrok. Okay, so if I try to access this ngrok, so this is me. Okay, so my Kali Linux, and this is you. Okay, so this is ngrok. Okay, so here I can able to access this ngrok because this ngrok is a public domain, publicly hosted, and you can also able to access this ngrok because this ngrok is a public domain. So now what this ngrok will do is, see what are all come to this URL. Okay, so this URL belongs to ngrok, so this is the ngrok domain, ngrok.io, and this is the specific subdomain which ngrok will be allocated for me right now. Okay, so if any request coming to this URL, now I am providing you the ngrok URL. Okay, I am providing you the ngrok URL. So if you click the URL, means what happened, ngrok and you. Okay, I am providing you the ngrok URL. If you click the URL, means you will be go to which site for my Kali Linux or ngrok. Once if you click the URL, you will redirect, you will go to the ngrok site. Okay, so this URL is belongs to ngrok.io. If you click the URL, you will be go to the ngrok only. Now this ngrok will act like a middleman, okay, or a proxy agent. So what are all requests coming to the specific URL? Okay, if anybody, if any request coming to this specific URL, then ngrok redirect. Okay, so here you can able to see the redirection. Ngrok redirect the servers to our system. So this local host is our system. We'll completely see about what is local host by today. Okay, so what are all the requests coming to this ngrok domain will be redirect to our system port number 80. So in my Kali Linux port number 80, what is running, Apache service is running, so you can able to access my service. Okay, see now this ngrok redirecting your connection to my system port number 80. So this is the thing ngrok generally will do. Okay, so now you can able to clearly understand what this ngrok is doing. So how long this ngrok will work is, this is maximum work, it is maximum run up to 1 hour. So after that 1 hour this ngrok session will be ended and you have to restart the ngrok service now. So now it provide you the different URL. So using the previous URL you can't able to work. Okay, so this is generally ngrok will do. If you want to permanently port forward something, means see now in the port forwarding itself, which port we make a port forward, port number 80. So we port forward the port number 80. Even if you try to access port number 81, means that will be not port forward, so no one can able to access the servers. Only port number 80 is port forward. This is in my in our private network. So consider we having the public IP address. So if we want to make a port forward, means ISP make open our port publicly. So for example, here I'm having IP address of my router, and if I'm asking the port for, if I'm asking port forward to our ISP, means they open some specific port in my IP address. So for example, if I am requesting ISP to port forward my HTTP port, so port forward my port number 80, means what they do, they open my port number 82 publicly. Okay, so anyone who are all trying to access my server, they can able to access it because my port number 80 is publicly hosted. Okay, see for this we need to get a static IP address. Okay, because only we having a static IP address, then only ISP can able to make open some port in our specific IP address. See if we are using a dynamic IP address, means what happened, the general same thing, our IP address will be getting changing every time, so not all the time ISP opens some specific port to our IP address. Okay, so that is why ISP only do port forwarding in a static IP address. If they do port forwarding in a dynamic IP address, means for every second they have to make a port, they have to open some specific port to the IPs which is allocating to our system. Okay, so this is why ISP do port forward only to the static IP address. Okay, if our system is port forwarded, then only outside network system can able to come and reach our system. So now we'll see one thing. Okay, so you know what is static IP address, what is dynamic IP address, and what is port forwarding. See here, I'm using a dynamic IP address, which is not a permanent. It will be changing in every second. Okay, every second or minute or every moment it will change. See, right now I am now the time is 8:13. Okay, now the time is 8:13 or 8:14 now. If I commit with any crimes, okay, so for example, if I commit with any crime in the very next second, okay, or very next minute, if this IP address is allocated to you, then police will arrest me or you. Okay, so in the time of 8:14 I am committing a crime. In 8:15 this IP address may also chance to allocate to your system. Okay, if police is tracing the people, means they arrest me or you. Police only arrest me. Yes, okay, so police only arrest me because police also know this is a dynamic IP address. It will be changing for every minute, not even a minute, it will change in every second and millisecond as well. So how police will arrest me, how they calculate is they calculate the time. Okay, so for example, for a 8:14 p.m. on this particular second, this IP address is allocated to which people. Okay, if I commit with any crime means, so for that particular time and particular date, time and second, this IP address is allocated to which user. So now that particular IP address is only allocating to my system, so using that only police will take action against me, not you. Okay, so this is the general thing police will do of in tracing, because in a dynamic IP address means every time in for a mobile data we are getting a dynamic IP address. So if we done any crime means, next the IP address will change to some other people, means police will arrest those people or not, means no, police will arrest we only. Okay, so I hope you are clear with what is static IP address, what is dynamic IP address, what is DNS record, why website having a public IP address. Okay, and what is port forwarding, what is the importance of port forwarding, and what is reversal and what is bind shorten. So now we'll discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of static and dynamic IP address. The dynamic IP address, or first the static IP address. What is the major advantage of static IP address? Port forwarding. Okay, so in port forwarding we can't able to do in a dynamic IP address, so using static IP address we can able to do, that is a major advantage. And the very disadvantage of port forwarding is, see here, I am the person who hosted my port and service publicly, so anyone from outside network can able to access my service because I make it as a port forward. Not only the website visitor, even another attackers also can able to access my server. Okay, not only me, even if I hosted everything in a privately in my 192 address, then the device which is connected with my same LAN network can able to access my system. Not every system which is connected in public, which is in publicly, can't able to access my. But if I make a port forward, you can able to access my servers. Not only you, even the outside network attackers also can able to reach my system. They can also able to ping my system. They can also able to do a scanning against my system. So it is a security threat. Okay, if I do a port forwarding means I have to be properly configured anything. So if I make any misconfiguration or unusual configuration in my system, that will easily leads to get exploit my system by some other attackers. So advantage of a static IP address, port forwarding. The disadvantage is a security threat. If you do a port forwarding in your system, then you have to configure everything in very secure, because not only the normal user, even other hackers also can able to reach your system. They also can able to scan against your system. They can also able to make any exploit run against your system. Okay, the advantage of dynamic IP address was a secure. Okay, no one can able to access, no one can able to reach your IP, not access. Okay, no one can able to reach your IP address. And the disadvantage, we can't able to make a port forwarding. So for that scenario we can use the tool like ngrok for making port forwarding for a temporary. So is everybody clear with this static and dynamic IP address? So once again, I'm recollecting, remaining all the topics you can hear. So what is static IP address? What is dynamic IP address? And what is port forwarding? Why website are using a static IP address? And why ISP only do port forwarding in a static IP addresses? Okay, what is reversal? What is bind sheraton? So we apply this in a web application itself. For example, you just see you are testing a web application having the OS command injection vulnerability. OS command injection is a very rare vulnerability, but if any application is vulnerable to OS command injection, then no one can able to save the application. That is high critical vulnerability. Okay, so if you found OS command injection in a any web application, so what generally we do, so generally what I do is I take the reverse connection of the application. I perform the remote code execution against the application, and I am getting the reverse shell. For getting reverse shell from the public application to my system, what I have to do, I am an attacker. If I want to make a reverse connection from the public system to my system, then I need to make a port forwarding to my system. If I give a IP address of 192.168. means that private application, that server can't able to come with my IP address 192.168 because it is a private IP address. So attacker perspective, I have to make the port forward in my system, then only the reverse connection is possible. Else I can do a bind shell. If I do a bind shell, means what happened, it opens some specific port in a victim server or the vulnerable application server. So whenever I need the connection, I can able to go and connect with the web servers. So this is the importance of IP address, public private IP, and port forwarding in web application penetration testing also.